A single US military MQ-9 Reaper drone costs roughly $30 million. It carries laser-guided Hellfire missiles and it flies at 50,000 feet. It is one of the most fearsome and deadly weapons in the US arsenal, if not the entire world. But a level 20 wizard can wipe it out of the sky using a two-word phrase completely naked while drinking a cup of tea. When modern multi-billion-dollar military firepower meets the absolute reality-bending laws of high fantasy magic like we have in Dungeons & Dragons, who actually survives? So today we aren't just guessing, we are going to do a deep dive using real-world military doctrine as known by somebody who knows absolutely nothing about the military, and we're going to compare it against the exact mechanical rules of a level 20 Archmage. Now, obviously, there's a lot to think about here. There's a lot of variables, things like, does the Archmage have magic items? What racial abilities do they have? These are all things that we need to consider. Now, the reality is that one mage cannot cast spells forever. So the real question really is, how many people can an Archmage take out before being taken down themselves? Now, to understand how long the Archmage survives, we have to look at their fuel gauge, right? Their spell slots. A level 20 wizard has exactly 22 spell slots ranging from 1st level to 9th level. Now, if this wizard does nothing but cast raw offensive or defensive spells, they have exactly 22 action. But a professional wizard, especially a level 20 wizard, is not going to waste their high-level spell slots on basic grunts. So I have calculated everything based on the idea that the average person in D&D has roughly 10 to 20 hit points, and if we're being honest with ourselves here and using the commoner stat block, they have 1d8 hit points, so I think I'm being pretty generous. Now, I think we can also all agree that an Archmage would have no problem wiping out a dozen people. So let's assume that our Archmage gets caught on camera robbing a bank or punching a puppy or something. Eventually, the military gets a call about some crazy dimensional wizard that's wreaking havoc, robbing that bank or whatever. So what does the military do? Well, I think first you'll send in your police officers. Then you'll send in maybe your SWAT team. Again, I think we can all agree that that handful of people is not going to do much against a level 20 wizard, especially when they have all of their reactions and they have area of effect spells. 10 to 20 hit points is not going to do much. So eventually we get to the point where we're going to call this phase 1, where they send in a light infantry battalion. Surely 800 to 1,000 soldiers will be enough. So they surround the wizard's location. Now, standard doctrine, from what I've looked up after spending maybe 5 minutes on the internet, is to suppress and advance. Any veterans watching this, let me know down below. What am I getting wrong here? I'm sure there's something. So the wizard is going to use their signature spells, right? They have a feature that allows them to cast a 3rd level spell without using a spell slot. So they'll choose something that's going to help them, like maybe animate dead, or so they can drop a single 8th level spell slot on something absolutely crazy like Illusory Dragon. If you haven't read that spell, it's insane. It creates a shadow dragon that is an illusion, so everything goes through it, no damage hits it, and it can actually expel a cone of any type of damage that you want to choose. And the only thing that happens if you're able to discern that it's an illusion is that you get advantage on the saving throws. It is a wild spell. I cannot believe that that's a real thing. We could do something else like Incendiary Cloud, where for 1 minute you have this 20-foot radius sphere that is just roaring fire and it moves 40 feet per turn, dealing an average of 45 fire damage to anything that it touches. Now, in our world, 45 points of magical fire damage is the equivalent of getting hit directly by a military flamethrower. They are on fire. So I think we can say that that entire battalion is wiped out or routed within 60 seconds, at least, if they're not summoning a giant shadow dragon that immediately draws all attention away from the wizard. Everybody's going to be shooting at that thing instantly. All of those spells are missing. The Archmage can then focus on taking them out with things like lightning bolts, right? So the military is down 1,000 men. Pretty damn quickly. The wizard is literally just getting warmed up. So the Pentagon panics. They send in heavy armor. They send in the M1 Abrams tank. They send in Bradley fighting vehicles. They send in Apache attack helicopters, and they're trying to keep their distance. They think they've noticed that this thing is at the very least reality bending, but is extremely dangerous, right? So they start sending in missiles and mortars from miles away. So this is where the wizard now has to use their mid-tier slots. You're looking at 4th to 6th level. Now, mind you, this wizard has already wiped out 1,000 people minimum. So they're not going to go towards the tanks. They're not going to fight the tanks. Instead, that wizard is going to spend their time probably scrying to see what's happening, to get an idea. Eventually, they spend those 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes that it takes for the military to get to them to cast something like Mirage Arcane. That's a 7th level spell slot. Now, it physically alters local geography in a square mile. Instantly, they can turn all of the solid ground beneath the tanks into bubbling lava. Now, a tank weighs 70 tons, so they sink instantly, and all of the crew is cooked inside the tank. Now, for the helicopters, they can use something like Chain Lightning or Telekinesis to just rip the rotor blades off of the Apaches midair, causing them to collide, causing all sorts of chaos in the air above them. People start to scatter, and at this point, obviously, they're not going to be able to take out all of the helicopters. So this is where action economy kicks in. Now, if the Archmage can position themselves well, they might be able to take out all the choppers, maybe a few missiles that are coming in a single round, but eventually those missiles are going to hit, and they're probably going to miss 1 or 2 helicopters minimum. So with the field turned into lava around them, the military has no choice but to fire from afar. So let's look at the body count really quick. The entire armored brigade and all of their combat teams are absolutely ruined. That's thousands of personnel that are dead. And the wizard has used, I think at this count, 4 spell slots, maybe 5. So they have 17 left. So the military plays its final card, overwhelmed by volume, right? So they launch a coordinated multi-axis strike. 50 artillery pieces are firing from 20 miles away. You have stealth bombers that are dropping GPS-guided bombs from 40,000 feet. So this is, I think, the point where the wizard's resources finally fracture, because a standard howitzer battery from 20 miles away will fire a GPS-guided Excalibur round. And at that exact same moment, 40,000 feet in the air above them, a B-2 stealth bomber releases a payload of satellite-guided bombs. So the wizard is trapped in a linear turn order system, because this is D&D, right? I said we're going to use the architecture of D&D. So they have 1 reaction per round. So first artillery shell breaks the sound barrier and detonates right there, right? The wizard is forced to burn their reaction on shield to survive the shrapnel. So their armor class is increased. Maybe they'll use absorb elements to handle the concussive heat if that's what they want to do instead. The point is the shield spell lasts until the start of their next turn. So they have that buff. But shield does not stop saving throws. So you have the remaining 49 artillery shells and those 3 2,000-pound bombs that are impacting simultaneously. So now that entire 1 mile grid is turned into a churning crater of fire, pressure waves, vacuums. The wizard must now make a constitution saving throw for concentration for every single source of damage that they take. So even if they were using something like invulnerability, which is a 9th level spell, he is immune to the raw damage, but not immune to the system shock. So even with a +9, +15, whatever, eventually, just by the sheer volume of checks, they are going to roll a natural 1. So the concentration breaks, the protective wards vanish. The wizard is starting to very quickly realize that they don't have a lot of options left. So now this might buy them a round or 2 where they can drop a teleport or an invisibility spell to buy themselves a moment. And at this point, they have 2 options, right? They can either tactically retreat, so they burn their high-level spell slots on a teleport or a plane shift, and they vanish instantly. But at this point, that means the military wins the engagement, right? So the other option is to fight to the death. If the wizard stays to fight, they have pretty powerful spells, but you have the air that is choked with smoke. You have soot, dust. The line of sight is blocked. And in D&D, most of those high-tier spells, including Power Word Kill and Disintegrate and Hold Person, require you to see a target within range. So the military forces are basically invisible to him, and firing from over the horizon using satellite tracking, things aren't looking very good for him. The wizard is blind, he's out of reactions, his spell slots are bleeding away, and eventually that long-range damage is what does it. A single coordinated long-range assault from a hypersonic sniper round or thermal blasts from all of those bombs, the Archmage is going to fall. Now, The simple verdict is that if the wizard plays it stupidly, they die in the first 5 minutes to a bullet. But if they play like absolute tactical geniuses, the Archmage can easily take out between 6,000 and 10,000 military personnel, estimated, right? They can collapse local infrastructure. They can destroy absolute billions of dollars worth of hardware with all of those helicopters and missiles before that wizard's resource economy reaches zero. Now, we can also argue that if they were smart, they can just Misty Step into the Pentagon or Dimension Door or something. I don't know if Dimension Door is a wizard spell. I don't think it is. They can then cast Mass Suggestion and end the entire war right there. But to make things even more complicated, this entire simulation that we've done here also assumes that the wizard was caught off guard. What if the wizard has 24 hours of prep time and they cast Clone? Or what if they had the ability to prep for a year and lay down permanent spell work, creating a lair of some kind? What does that do for the wizard? What if they had magic items, right? That was one of the biggest questions that we had at the very beginning of this. And that, again, all of that, that's just one. What if there were two wizards? What if there was a brigade or an army of them? I think it's safe to say that modern military doctrine wins not through firepower, but just through distance and saturation, because they're able to produce these things on a mass scale. A simple action economy wins out. But if you let a level 20 wizard see you, you're probably gonna die. Anyways, that's been my thought experiment. Let me know if you agree or disagree. I'm very curious. I did a lot of thinking about this. What ways would you take over the world if you were a level 20 mage? How would you use your magic to wreak the most havoc? Let me know. I think these are going to be some very interesting comments. As always, thank you so much for watching. Forge on, my friends, and remember, this end goes towards the enemy. This end goes that way.